Hello, if you're an individual that's ever been on antibiotics, or if you're currently on antibiotics, and after you've taken them, you've never done anything in addition to that, then this video is certainly for you. And the antibiotics that I'm going to talk about today are the more popular ones that are frequently used: the amoxicillin, the ampicillin, penicillin, tetracycline, the cephalosporin, and the ciprofloxacin. Those are the more popular antibiotics, right? Okay. And remember now, for every action, there's always an equal and opposite reaction. So I want to share with you some of the things that happen in your body as a result of taking these antibiotics. Now, please understand, I'm not against them. I'm not against any pharmaceutical that's used properly and only for the time period that it should be used. But understandably, after it's used, the patient needs to be addressed at about the results that have occurred in their bodies after having taken the antibiotics, right? Or any medication for that matter. All right, but our problem is that we too frequently prescribe these things. We overuse them. We don't do anything to repair the damage that's been done by them, because regardless of how well intending they may be, they are a poison and a toxin to the body. And again, for every action, there's always an equal and an opposite reaction. So with that in mind, I want to focus on the nutritional deficiencies or depletions, I should say, that occur in particularly when a person takes antibiotics, right? So most of this damage that happens is in the gut. Now, the gut has been identified as the second brain now. It's so important and critically vital to the well-being of the body. And the brain communicates with the gut communicates with the brain. And we also know that over 70, perhaps even 80% of the body's immune system is in the gut. So, with that in mind, when you damage the gut, when you adversely affect the gut in any way, shape, or form, you are now weakening your immune system. You're making yourself more vulnerable to any bacteria, viruses, parasites, pollutants. I mean, the stresses of life. You're just weakened, and that makes you, like I said, vulnerable to all of these disorders and diseases now that many people are plagued with. See? So with that, let's get back to it. Now, the nutritional depletions here. When you take the antibiotics, it decimates, it attenuates, it weakens, and in many cases, it absolutely destroys the bifidobacteria and the lactobacterias that are in the gut. And these are microbiomes, these are flora. And the bifidobacteria species, there's over 24 of them. That should make you aware of how important, how vitally important those are to the overall function of your body. Also, the lactobacillus, you're probably more familiar with these. The lactobacillus, like acidophilus, of those, there's seven different categories or species. And these in particular are antimicrobial. So that means that they fight these microbes that come into your body that otherwise, if they're left unchecked, these microbes would overtake your body and result in sicknesses and diseases, some of which are pneumonias. See? And it's interesting to note that many people that go to the hospital, that are sick when they go to the hospital, the statistics show that many of them die from pneumonia. All right. Now, again, this is not a sweeping generalization. You can go ahead and do the research on this, but it's because their body's already in a weakened state. And because of that, in the hospital, they succumb to even more stresses and they develop pneumonia. Now, on a note, in addition to that, if you want to do some further research, look at the CDC or the World Health Organization, in particular the CDC, because we're speaking about the United States now. Many of the COVID deaths or the deaths that are being attributed to COVID, the CDC has admitted that they're using in those numbers also the people that have died from pneumonia and influenza. Okay, so don't take my word for it, though. Do your own research. Always think for yourself. And when you hear something that you think sounds like the truth, back it up and see if what you're hearing, even in my case, when you listen to me, do some research and see if what I'm telling you is the truth or not the truth. Anyway, getting back to that, without the lactobacillus, you are now more susceptible to E. coli, right? And also Staph aureus, salmonella poisoning. See, the weakened immune system. Who knows how many times you and I have eaten foods that have been tainted with salmonella, but thank God our immune system has been strong enough that when the salmonella was ingested, the body quelled it, just eradicated it. However, with a weakness or an absence of the lactobacillus species in particular, you're more susceptible to salmonella poisoning. Also, Shigella C. difficile or the C. diff. You probably know people who have had C. diff. And if you do, it's one of the things you're going to find when you do an evaluation of them is they're severely lacking in the lactobacillus species and also Candida. There are 5 different types that I recall. And if you have a patient, if there's an individual who's having a yeast infection or Candida, you look upstream into the gut and you're going to find out that they're very, very weak or they have minimal amounts of the lactobacillus species within them as well. The H. pylori, that's a mean booger, and it's way down in the lower gut. And what it does, it just migrates upward, upward, upward until it migrates up into your stomach, and it wreaks havoc there. And people go to the doctor, whoever they see, and many times they're misdiagnosed and they're just given an antacid, or they take, whatever they do, but they're not dealing with the true culprit there, and then they go on with worse and worse situations. But this is what's happening here, see? And I've got to stop here for a moment. And if you're one of those that has been misled and to believe that by simply eating yogurt you're going to right the wrong that's been done by an antibiotic, you're sorely mistaken and you've been misled. It takes much, 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 much more than that. And in many cases, that yogurt is not doing anything in order to restore that decimated bacteria there. Also, when you take the antibiotics, you are going to be depleted of the B1, B2, B3, B6, B12. Boy, there's a whole slew of things that are involved in there, from the brain to the nerve system to the immune system to the stress, and they're called the stress vitamins, right? So if you don't have them, we'll just think this through. If we're weakened or we don't have adequate amounts of that, then we are more susceptible to those stressors. It can result in depressions. It can result in mood swings. All kinds of things can show up as a result of that. Also, a depletion of our vitamin C, immune system, right? The integrity of the skin, the repair of tissues, the vitamin E, the vitamin K, without which all of that calcium that you might have been told to take for your osteopenia or your osteoporosis, it ain't getting in. It's not doing any good for you. As a matter of fact, it's going to create some more problems that you have to deal with down the road. And also the vitamin D. The vitamin D won't be absorbed either, not as efficiently and effectively, because it depends on vitamin K1 and K2. Anyway, so now we go to another depletion, the inositol. If you lower the inositol, you are more prone to type 2 diabetes, depression, and bipolar, panic attacks, and the polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? The PCOS or the PCOS that seems to be increasing, right? If you stop and think about it, we're increasing in diabetes, we're increasing in the numbers of people who are clinically depressed, the numbers of bipolar, the panic attacks that people have, and the PCOS that now is being diagnosed for many, many women. And look, if you do some research and go back, did any of these women, or no, I'm sorry, did any of these individuals, I should say, take antibiotics in the past, and did they do it frequently? Did they do it over a period of time without resolving the damage that's been done? It could very well be the reason the door's been opened, and now there's another problem or problems that they're having to deal with. And in the meantime, the antidepressants are being thrown at them. There's pain meds that are being given to them. The metformin. I mean, the whole number of things. They're not really taking care of the source of the problem or the problem itself, but they're just addressing the symptoms that are there now. Also, magnesium is depleted. I got to tell you, this is my opinion. In the light of things, three of the most important things in life or for life is going to be air, of course. Without it, we're not here. The water, very, very important, and magnesium. That's right. In my estimation, magnesium is number 3 on that list. It's responsible for over 300 enzymatic systems being produced by the body. The body's got to have it in order to do it now, and it's got to be a specific type of magnesium because there's numerous types all having a different effect in the body. However, when we look at the body, we find out, and it's again, it's not anecdotal, it is empirical, that there's an overwhelming deficiency in the United States in people when it comes to magnesium. And it affects the brain, it affects the heart, it affects the digestion, it affects the muscles. There's so many things. As a matter of fact, if you don't have the magnesium, that calcium that your doctor has told you to take every day in order to address osteopenia or osteoporosis, it's not gonna be absorbed as effectively and efficiently, and it could very well end up causing more problems: atherosclerosis, arterial sclerosis, kidney stones, gallstones, hardening of the arteries, the whole gamut there, because that calcium isn't being taken up in the body. Okay? Also with the magnesium, it produces an enzyme, one of the enzymes that helps in the absorption of potassium. So you could be an individual that's taking potassium and it too isn't getting to its targeted cell. It's not going across the cell membrane and being absorbed by the body. So it could in time result in cardiac events, heart attacks, a myriad of things. And then, of course, the zinc. You know about the zinc. It has to do with your immune system, the quality of the skin, the nails, the hair, all that good stuff, right? Acne, those things. But we get back to the original point. These are just some, not all, but just, some of the things that happen as a result of taking the antibiotics. How many times do you have to take it? Once. Just one action for a reaction, right? However, the scenario worsens if you've taken them repeatedly and over and over and over again. And right now we live in a society where young and old and all of those in between have been given antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic, just a myriad of following of things. If this one doesn't work, come back, we'll give you that one, and boom, 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 boom. And each and every time you're weakening your body. See, and the weaker it gets, the more susceptible it is to all of these diseases, these disorders, and these maladies out here. And right now, currently, everybody's concerned. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people are concerned about the COVID. So if you want to have a defense against it, then take care of that body of yours, because it's been fearfully and wonderfully made. It's been equipped to deal with anything that's thrown its way. It's a self-preserving entity. I want you to know that. So there's always help. There's always a way you can improve it. So what you've got to do is think, am I one of those that did the antibiotics? And if I am, maybe I need to sit down with my doctor and have a conversation and get an evaluation to see where I am now as a result of having done that. Right? Right. So, hey, thank you so very much for allowing me to share this information with you in this video. And if you're looking for additional assistance, why, don't ever hesitate to contact us. And please, if you would, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until the next video, and as always, God bless.